Hi, everyone. My name is Lydia Martinez, and I am the owner of L Marketing and Events and also Restaurant Owners Marketing Academy. And I'm really excited to be here today with Kaitlyn. Oops, wrong. This is a mirror image video, so I always point the wrong direction. So I'm here with Kaitlyn, and Kaitlyn is our marketing strategist here at L Marketing. She's been with us just over a year. And today we wanted to talk to you about creating a customer avatar and also why that's even important, why you should be doing that with your business. And we'll talk through a few examples of customer avatars, how to narrow it down, how to figure that out, and then also, some tips for kind of putting together those avatars or customer personas. So Kaitlyn, you have a business and you are working on putting together a customer avatar. Why is that so important?
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons that creating a customer persona or an avatar is really, really important is so that you know who you're talking to when you're doing your marketing. So, for example, you wouldn't talk to a high-end luxury real estate client the same way you would talk to somebody who is looking to downsize. So in marketing, we create what are called segments, which are the different groups of people that you're targeting based on their needs. So creating those, and then you create those customer personas to help you figure out who you're talking to, what they need, and how best to reach them.
Yeah, I love that. And that's just perfect example that you gave with real estate. And one of the things that I think a lot of people, when we're talking to them about creating avatars or customer personas, they'll say, well, this is mostly who I'm going after, but I'll sell to anybody. Like my target customers are anybody. I'll sell to whoever. Um, and I think one common misconception is that you can still sell to whoever you want. Your avatar is just your primary and secondary and tertiary people that you're trying to reach or target specifically with your marketing.
Yeah. I actually went back and found an example that we talked about when I was getting my master's degree. I'm sure that a lot of people have seen 17 magazine, in bookstores and the checkout line, which that magazine actually dates back to the mid 40s to early 50s, and they actually did they created a target persona back in the 50s. And I kind of just wanted to skim this really quick. It says, Tina, the high school girl, has a peck of problems. She's what older folks call an awkward adolescent, too tall, too plump, too shy. A little too much of a lot of things, but they're big to Tina. Tina writes to her favorite magazine for tips on the clothes she wears, the food she eats, the lipstick she wields, et cetera, et cetera. And, obviously the magazine has gone through a lot of changes since then, but I thought this was a really fun example because you're right. I mean, literally anyone who can buy your product. You don't necessarily have to be a 17-year-old girl, right, to buy this product, but these are the main people who are in your audience who will be interested in buying your product.
Yeah. Is it just me, or does a little bit of a lot of things fit perfectly?
Yes. I remember being 17. It's exactly like that.
That could describe me now, I feel like, as well.
Right.
So let's talk about how to arrive at a customer avatar. What are some of the first steps that you take when you're kind of figuring out even who your customer avatar is if you're starting from scratch?
Yeah. So as a business owner, there's a couple of things that you can do. I call them my 3 quick and dirty checklist items. So as a business owner, a lot of businesses generally have sales team or a customer service team or, product reviews. So I always say start there because that's the most direct line to your customers. Because one, customer service members get to talk to your customers on a personal level, so they can tell you about their background, their motivations and problems. But even if you don't have a dedicated customer service team and you're a small operation, one of the things that you can do is look at reviews for your product or a similar product to see what's motivating people to buy that product, why, what the problem is that your product is solving for them, or and stuff like that. So that really gets you dialed in on who is actually buying your product.
And if you're a small operation and you're just starting out, ask your customers. Just go to them directly and ask them. Or if you don't even have any customers yet, have a little mini focus group and ask people if they're interested in what they're doing. I'm going through some of this process right now with one of my other businesses, is actually talking to my target demographic and saying, do you actually want this? Tell me before I spend a lot of money launching it.
Exactly. Well, and I think that's one of the other it's kind of like my 1A of talking directly to your customers. Focus groups are great, and really, like, client surveys are great. Like, really getting to know their pain points, their problems, what motivates them to make a decision. The other thing that you can do is look at your Google Analytics, because Google, if you have Google Analytics hooked up to your website, it will break down your website's visitor demographics, which are like age, where they live, gender, how they come to your website. So whether that's through email marketing or through a social media platform or just organic search. And there is a ton of data in Google Analytics that can help you break down, okay, who are the people that are coming to my website for my product? Are they mostly women or are they mostly men? Are they college educated or do they have a high school diploma? Stuff like that kind of helps you figure out who you're talking to, and gives you kind of that raw data that you can use to help create that persona.
Yeah. So what if you are new enough in business, you're relatively new, you maybe don't have a website yet, or you don't have a lot of data on Google Analytics? What are some other tools or platforms that you can use?
I really like using, if you have a Facebook page, I really like using the Facebook Insights page, because that will give you data on your Facebook audience. And that's one tool that I often use when we're working with a social media client to see who their target clients are. The other thing that I really like using is it's a platform called Suggest, and you can do the like basic research on there for free. But that also helps you kind of pinpoint like some of your customer behaviors and why like thinking problems that you might be having reaching them, which is also really important when you're building a customer persona, because you need to know the challenges that you have reaching that particular demographic so that you can address them and get your desired client in the door.
Amazing. So how do you put all those data points together?
Yeah. So, and this is just me being kind of a geek, but I actually really love creating customer personas, because it feels a little bit like a detective, like I'm being a detective.
Yeah.
So you can ask yourself some questions like, and there's the basic demographics, which are like, I liken it to census data, basically. So like your age, location, gender, stuff like that. Those are considered demographics. Level of education is considered demographic. The other aspect that we use
Well,
is
let me just
psychographic.
Yeah, before we get to psychographics, let me just talk through demographics really quickly and why they're actually important. Um,
Mhm.
like, for example, knowing if somebody you've got a product for moms that have toddlers, knowing that you've got a mom that is college educated, still in the workforce, and has two kids under the age of 3, so they've got an infant and a toddler. Having those kind of hard statistics or hard data that can net you a whole lot as far as who they are. It's actual numbers, it's a fact, it's information about exactly who they are through the numbers. You can put a pin on the map and say where they are. If you have a physical location, demographics are really important because you're only going to pull people into your physical location from a certain radius around that physical location. And there are some outliers that'll make a special trip if you're really phenomenal and once you're on their radar. But for the most part, people are only going to come from 3 to 5 miles away. So you have to include that in your persona and think through that with your demographics. So you mentioned psychographics. Let's go ahead and touch base on psychographics.
Yeah. So psychographics are more of the data that's not like, it's not hard data. It's more soft, which I'm going to kind of explain as we go through this a little bit. So these are questions like, what is your customer's pain point? What is the thing that drives them to look for a solution to this pain point, right?
Mm,
Um, what are the things that drive them to make a decision? Where do they what do they like about your company or your industry if you're just starting out? And why do they feel that way? And so it's things like that it's a little bit more of telling their story. And this is where customer surveys or talking to your customer service representatives can be super super helpful, because you get a little bit more of a peek inside their lives,
yeah.
to see all of those things, because we're not just made up of hard data points like, your age, your gender, your location, whatever. We're also made up of a lot of softer data points that are our reasons and our motivations, and the stuff that drives us to do what we do and purchase what we need, we purchase.
hmm So I love that what you said about psychographics. It's that motivational thing that drives us. So an example like with demographics for me, I am in my 40s. I'm married. I do not have children. My husband also works, so we are total like double income, no kids. We have a cat. We are He is college educated. I actually only have some college. I did not finish my degree. And so these are like hard data facts about us. Um, but the things that motivate us, that motivate me specifically, adventure. I love trying new things. I love experiences. I love new foods. I love travel. I love doing things that are off the beaten path. I love both traveling to big cities and I love traveling to the middle of nowhere. And so those are things that are some of my motivations. As a matter of fact, I set up a business where I can work from anywhere to have that lifestyle because it's that much of a motivation for me. It's my aspirational lifestyle. And
Mhm.
so when you're thinking about people and their demographics and psychographics, you would not know those things about me if you just heard if you just heard my demographics.
Yeah.
And so getting into your clients' heads a little bit, or your ideal customers' heads, that helps you develop a richer avatar
Mhm.
that's fully fleshed, fully formed. It's not a two-dimensional description. It feels like a person.
Yeah,
And so one of the things, Kaitlyn, that you do that I love is when you're coming up with avatars for our clients, you name them.
I do. I
Talk
have
about why you do that.
well, first of all, I have a thing with alliteration. So most of my persona names rhyme or have alliteration, which is kind of cheesy, but it makes it fun. But I do that because it gives your target client um, more of a face, and more of like, oh, this is a real person. So, for example, like Lydia, you were talking about how you have a cat, right? Um, One of the things, so that would be a demographic point, but a psychographic point for that, something that's driving you to list, because if you have a cat, therefore you need cat food, right? But one of the psychographics of that is that, oh, maybe your kitty has a hard time digesting certain types of food, or maybe your kitty is diabetic, right? So those are more like, those are as an example of like psychographics. But like, I would give my persona a name to kind of help humanize the data and bring that and say, oh, this is a real person with real needs, that this is how I can help them. And it kind of, I think it helps you get more in touch with your clients, or your shoppers, and find out what they really need. So
So, Carly, cat owner.
yep, exactly.
But the great thing about it is it provides a shortcut. So if you're communicating the avatars to your team, so you've got a marketing agency, or you've got a team of copywriters, or you've got an internal marketing team, you can say things like, let's create some blog posts that will appeal to Carly. And it's
Hmm.
this shortcut to communicate to everyone across the board who it is that you want to talk to, where you don't have to like create it by hand. You can literally just define it that way. And so that's something that's really, really helpful, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, sorry, my phone is going off. I think that is one of the really important, it gives you some really important insights on not only how to talk to not only who you're talking to, but how to talk to them.
Yeah, I love that. Well, perfect. Any other final thoughts on creating a customer avatar?
Just that I think it's just such a useful tool. I mean, really seriously, I generally, creating when I'm creating customer personas, I will do that very first thing when I have a new client, because it gives me ideas of, like, for blog posts, video ideas, and it helps inform where I'm going with that marketing strategy. So it's actually a really good starting place for a marketing strategy as a whole.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. And if you have any questions about customer avatars, figuring out how to set those up or create them, and also how to translate that into content for your overall marketing strategy, please do reach out. We are happy to give you a hand with that. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great day.